like 3, 2, 1-ish. Hello, everyone. We are privileged to be joined by Krzysztof Domaradzki and Grzegorz Domaradzki, aka Gabz. They were appreciating my pronunciation there. Yes. My Polish girlfriend will also be delighted. We're delighted to have them, guys. People are very excited for this session. It's been one of the most talked about since we announced it. People were like, "Wow, that's crazy." I know that you've not done something like this with the two of you together, talking. So. Obviously, I'm going to ask you questions, but forgive me if I also accept some from the audience because it's a unique opportunity thus far. For those who criminally aren't aware of you yet, if you could just tell us a little bit about, if you Krzysztof first, your artistic background.
Well, yeah. So my name is Krzysztof. No, I'm kidding. This is Krzysztof, actually. So,
I knew you were going to do the swap on me.
We were preparing this little joke, but it turned out, as you just saw, it doesn't really matter. So, my name is Krzysztof. This is my twin bro, Grzegorz. We are like 2 minutes apart from each other when it comes to being in the world, so to speak. And we've both been always interested in the same things. We always followed the same route. Same interests. We studied the same artistic field, pretty much, at the Academy of Fine Arts in Poznan, by the way. And we both love to draw. We both now specialize sort of in posters. Well, actually do other stuff as well. So yeah, we're twins on many levels. Yes, we are like. And every now and then we also collaborate on things, on posters and other stuff. We always connect, weekly, daily at times to exchange views on composition and stuff. So it's great to have a twin brother like this guy, and like this guy.
So, are you saying that the sort of the creative, your creative approach can be almost sort of symbiotic at times when you're creating? Obviously, you collaborate on some posters together. In a sort of very...
Sometimes it almost kind of gets tough when you sort of think of an idea and it turns out that your brother had a similar idea or something like that. Yes. Then several of our collaborative efforts came to be because of that, because we sort of met in the middle and let's just do it together then. But sometimes it's like, wow, what a great idea you had. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to put this particular title for future because you knocked it out of the park. With this one, for example, I don't know, Gangs of New York or Inception. Okay, Inception. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna skip doing Gangs of New York for a while now. Yes. It's just one example, of course, because there's plenty. Being a twin, as I would assume a lot of you know, twins have, sometimes similar dreams. They do things at the same time, even not knowing about it. So there's definitely a connection, beyond, how to say, spiritual, spiritual one. So it's fantastic. It's like one of the best gifts one can have, probably, to have a friend like that. But also, there's this sort of a flip side to this coin where, when you have a great artist like this as a sort of competitor in some sense, right? It's a great challenge to sort of compete. Not in a aggressive way, good way, of course. We sort of, one pushes each other, and I think that's how it's supposed to be. It's all good. Yes.
I think it's that positive competition, is something that it just pushes you, doesn't it? And it pushes you to create greater work.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I meant. Yes.
So, if we could talk about the key theme throughout AMPjam this year has been composition, and you both approach from where I'm. Well, sitting, not standing. From where I'm sitting, you approach composition in in a number of ways, and I think sometimes you have different, quite different approaches. And if I could go to Krzysztof first, your use of typography as a sort of layout technique, it would be great to hear sort of where that came from.
Yeah, I guess Krzysztof.
Yes, I will gladly answer this question. Thank you for this question. So generally, I ever since I've completed the academy, where I was doing lots of stuff, drawing and sculptures, I got into advertising, and that's when I came to know computer programs and typography and all that stuff. I hadn't studied that when I was at the academy, and I really fell in love with vectors. Like the first poster I used typography in, it was Leon, the Professional, which is a great flick. And when I first came up with the idea to incorporate imagery into the large bold letters of Leon, I was like, I think it's a good thing to say. Well, I think this is something I haven't seen anything like it. It somehow conveys, I mean, maybe not for everybody, but at least for me, my love for comic books, where you are, where you have
panels,
like panels, where you put things in them, and it's probably even better visible with my more recent work, including the Blade Runner 2049, where it's a sort of a comic book kind of approach. I mean, it's always rather hard for me to. Sorry for the long talking, but it's rather hard to explain all the nuances. It the way I approach a poster, an alternative movie poster, is that most of people have already seen it, so it doesn't need to work as an advertisement for a movie that we don't know the ending of or whatever. So people know Predator or other movies like by heart. Some of them I've seen like 20 times or more. So it's more of an interpretation of sorts. And in particular, when we talk about the typography, it works as literally panels for a comic book, like, structure for a movie. I mean, of course, it depends. Sometimes it's not that like fully logical, but I often start thinking about movies with the titles. If they are short or short enough, there's always potential for using typography. But like with everything with me and basically in life, I love to do some breaks, try out different solutions in between working on posters. So when I, for example, just completed a typography-based poster, I'd rather do a horizontal one or like a full artwork composition, just to have a break from the same sort of approach. I hope it kind of answers your question.
It's an amazing answer. It hadn't even occurred to me the sort of that view of seeing it as a comic book page is really insightful. That's so cool.
Well, if I could just elaborate a little bit more about it, since you said it. For example, I'm not sure if all the viewers know these posters, but for example, Logan, which is literally a comic book character and a great movie, by the way. That's where I'm like, wait, hell, let's go with the comic book cover vibe, with elements that are connected with a comic book cover. I'm not sure what's it called, this top thing in the corner on a comic book cover, but these are the type of elements I love to go for, especially with the most recent works I'm doing now. So
awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
Gabz, the same question.
Well, as far as typography is concerned, I probably wouldn't call it my first field of exploration, to put it this way. I personally always preferred sort of handwritten typing. That's where I feel totally comfortable, and I just enjoy doing that. Occasionally I do design my own typography, but it's always either my brother's help or basically he just comes over, we have some drinks, and we sort of design them together. So a lot of posters of mine, like Alien, for example, or maybe you can have
on the screen.
Lord of the Rings. These are examples where my brother totally helped me with the title. But my approach, I would say, is slightly different, because I never start with typography. It usually comes towards the end. It might show for people who are loving my brother's work, they probably notice the difference, and I don't mind that at all. But in short, I mean, I focus basically on this either one striking image that will catch the viewer's attention, or basically play around with, I don't know, other characters or other scenes or whatnot, or basically just, you know, this idea that I believe the poster should have to draw the viewer's attention and basically, you know, catch his eye and convince somebody to hang it on a wall or whatever. And so for me, the basic composition and idea, it's all about the form, either the main character or, you know, what happened, depending on the movie and what the movie is about. But the composition is built rather around the imagery, and the title is something I add on top. So I guess that, yes, definitely.
But in terms of the way that you approach composition of your pieces, obviously we've got Alien up on screen now, and I'm just going to pop up Lord of the Rings because as you just mentioned it, and that's that 3-panel style, and I say you've got these different approaches that I think you've got a few sort of perhaps trademark approaches to not necessarily composition exactly, but layout, and the 3-frame thing obviously echoing what you've done with the Star Wars piece and your Indiana Jones piece. Where did that sort of come from?
Well, that's a funny story. I mean, first of all, having academic education, you gotta know that triptychs throughout the art history have been very popular, especially, you know, in churches, religious themes, the depiction of religious scenes and themes. So I kind of always liked the idea of having, you know, something in the middle and 2 wings on left and right. And so, well, it started obviously with Star Wars. So when Joe approached me from Bottleneck, hi Joe, and basically suggested that maybe we should do a print for all 3 movies, I was like, yeah, let's try and figure it out. Of course, it was an enormous task. Though now, after having done Lord of the Rings, now it wasn't such a. It was easy, in fact. But all jokes aside. It of course involved a lot of moving characters around, and what should be in the center, what should be on the left side or on the right side. Well, as you can imagine, it's pretty, or at least anybody who ever tried even, you know, doing something like that, it's pretty tricky to find the right balance of both the wings, so the left, right side, and what should be in the middle, not to sort of
Dominated?
Basically not to, no, that's not the word I was looking for, but well, in short, to make it readable for the viewer, to make it appealing for the viewer, but also to sort of tell the whole story, the whole trilogy in this case, like the original trilogy of Star Wars. And similarly, Indiana Jones, which this one was actually easier because it's much less characters, and basically, well, with Indiana Jones, the tricky part was sort of which one should be in the middle, because a lot of people, you know, actually suggested that chronologically, Temple of Doom should be like on the left, and then Riders in the middle. Well, but as you know, I went with Temple of Doom in the middle, because I went with chronology, how the movies were made, like when they appeared in cinemas and stuff. Plus, I always was a fan of Temple of Doom, like all 3 parts, in short. So I don't want to go into many details regarding just Indiana Jones. So just moving forward to Lord of the Rings. This was the toughest task, absolutely. So many characters, but I really had to like sit down with buddy of ours, Michał. And basically, let's run down the list of characters that like have to be there, maybe should be there, not necessarily, etc., etc. And then who should be in the middle, who should be on the left side, who should be on the right side, and so on and so on. So I don't know if I answered the question.
No, you answered it excellently. There's been some interesting questions. There's a couple which I'm just going to get out of the way on brotherhood and being twins, because it's an art show. One question was, you both have goatee beards, so who is the evil twin?
Is there a thing like that, an evil twin?
I would probably be the evil.
I don't know. Well, supposedly there is something like an evil twin, and I don't know who's the evil twin. I don't know.
We never thought about it, but
I mean, sometimes I'm evil. I guess he's evil too. I mean, this is the right way to answer this question. We should all try to be good, because you know. I mean, choose good, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. gold wins in the end.
There was a question about which of you sort of picked up, wanted to do art first. Was there a difference?
I mean, it was too early on, so probably at the a few months stage, somebody picked up a pencil, and later on we simply we loved drawing comic books. Drawing all sorts of stuff, and playing football as well. But we basically did that all time. Then we had a short sort of break for high school because together with our mother, we decided maybe it's better to go to a normal high school where you have all the subjects, and possibly if you're I'm bored with drawing, you can potentially be a doctor or whoever else. But we knew basically all along that after high school we were going to the academy. We both got there, and yeah.
So in short, no, it's not like one of us was first. Well, more specifically, speaking of posters, it's also debatable because, for example, my brother did a poster way back for Mondo, and I, for example, I did a series of self-initiated mini posters, I called them vector movie posters. It's a way back. But sort of later, while our careers, so to speak, were progressing, Krzysztof for a bit longer was sort of more into identification, logos, stuff like that, and I sort of started doing posters first in that term, that sort of working with galleries and stuff like that. But Krzysztof,
and then he got so famous and so adored. I was like, hey,
I want in.
Give me some.
So we're going to bring it back to art now, I promise. Posters, rather. Gabz, we got a question from Muragaya, who's right behind me, right there. He's asked, on your Lord of the Rings, if you were to fold those frames as if they were actually some kind of folding device, what would be on the outside? He said, a la Bosch.
I mean, the whole idea of folding the triptych is, of course, the way it was intended. I mean, originally thought of, right? So it would be great, I guess, to have another image. But no, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't thought of that because this project was so exhausting.
Yes.
So don't even don't even ask me about the Amazon show coming out or whatever. I mean, The Hobbit. Somebody asked that I should do Hobbit as well. No, I'm not.
I have to interrupt my brother. You guys have to know this. Every now and then we meet and we tell each other, bro, you're doing a great job, but too many details. And it happens once it's me, then the other a few months later it's Gabz telling me this. Yeah, bro, don't do that many details. Stop. And we're like, you remember that Inception or the Indiana Jones, bro, where it was just the perfect balance of detail, likeness, all that, and pure perfection. And then my brother purchased. I see it over there. He purchased this magnifying lamp tool from Ex Machina almost, and it made his detail beyond what an eye can see. It's looking at the drawing made my eyes hurt so much.
I mean, yes, I let me just add that it was first and probably the last time I used magnifying glass on something of this scale. I mean, then again, of course, I haven't seen the screen printed versions yet. They're on their way, but sadly, I've seen a lot of photos on Facebook, and everybody seems to be happy with the reprint at least. So that's great.
Yes.
So I'm going to inspect, the final prints once I have them. But in short, I no longer feel this method of using magnifying glass and pencil was sort of necessary. It just wasn't necessary. I mean, the result hopefully will be as great as everybody is saying it is, but no, I'm not using magnifying glass anytime soon. Unless somebody calls with a great idea for Trilogy, for I don't know how to beat Lord of the Rings with number of characters, but maybe one day.
Maybe Dune in 10 years from now.
How about Saving Private with all the soldiers from landing?
Wow.
Normandy landing.
See, someone make that happen now. So people are like, wow, that's an amazing idea.
Saving Private Ryan is on my to-do list, by the way.
Your dream projects, be sure to get those out so that the galleries and such are listening. Both of you you were talking about pencil and your magnifying glass, and you both, as far as I'm aware, combine both digital and hand-drawn work to create your posters. Could you tell us a little bit about, because as far as I'm currently aware, and I may be wrong, but that there is a sort of digital, then hand, then digital again, or the other way around, and stuff.
Well, it depends. But
the order of your process would be.
Yeah, to a point, the process is similar in both. I mean, both of us. But I usually start with. I always start with sketching on paper. I believe you also do that because I know. And, one idea is there. And sometimes, and I heard it, Mark Ratz saying this yesterday, and I agreed completely, that sometimes the idea just pops and you just know that whatever happens, the idea is too good not to pursue. From my experience, it was, for example, the Wolf of Wall Street print, where when I came up with the idea for a dollar bill, I was like, whatever, it just has to work. I will wear it later, right? So first there's the sketch, then there comes in the computer for me, and I believe also with my brother. And there's I rewatch the movie, I do screen grabs, I collect imagery that might work or not. Once that's done, and usually with me, it's when it's done, it's like pretty much 90% done. I mean, if I wouldn't be able to draw it, I could say, well, this is it. This is the poster, because everything's in its place. The vectors are 90% ready. If it's big letters or even small, it usually has some thought behind it or whatever. I don't want to bore you with too many details. Then once that's ready, I send it for approval, whether it be a gallery or a private commission group. And, at that point, they can clearly, hopefully see that, this is the poster. I mean, just imagine it being drawn, right? Or in limited colors or whatever. And when that's approved, which luckily usually happens, I do a sketch on a computer. I sometimes print it out, sometimes not. And then comes like at least 2 to 3 weeks process of drawing, like traditional drawing, whatever the technique. It can be pencil, it can be pen, it can be ink pen, whatever. But I really cherish, the ability to hold a real thing, like a real drawing. And I have a flat file with all the drawings I've made. And most of my posters exist in this form, maybe except for Edge of Tomorrow. And then once the drawing is done, I scan it, I put it into the computer, and I do all the coloring digitally. So it used to be like a computer with a tablet, but recently, like the last year, I'm using Procreate and iPad, and I love it. The iPencil is fantastic.
Sorry,
And sorry, and maybe just finishing. That's when the final touches come in. Like if you have a really small likeness issue, which is hard to sometimes nail likeness with when a head is like 1 centimeter size. So that's when you're able to zoom in and fix the eyes or whatever, because that's often an issue. And
I mean, I don't really have much to add, because like my brother said, our process is very similar, maybe except that some of my posters are clearly digital. So that's the difference, I guess. One of the differences. Because again, some posters, for example, Alien, are also pencil-based, so the process is pretty much the same. But I don't know from top of my head, First Blood, Inception, or
True Romance,
Escape from New York, or True Romance. These are like 100% digital in terms of the sketch is digital, and the final is also created with a tablet usually. Plenty of dissolves, custom brush, one custom brush called Gabz 01, and that's it. Because some people ask, and in case any people wonder, this custom brush looks like a dissolved, blurred sort of, I don't know, circle. But I don't know, maybe it's too detailed, too technical information to share.
I mean, we have had questions over the weekend, people saying, what's your favorite Blender tool? What's your favorite tool in Photoshop? What's your favorite tool in InDesign? Blah, blah, blah. We've got one question about which is a nice one, which is your favorite of each other's work. Obviously, that's
It's really hard.
Start because
It's really hard. I've heard a sort of similar question also in Mark Ratz's interview. He was asked about his favorite film or something like that. And it's really hard because films, you would have to have a favorite horror movie, if any, right? Because it's also really, really hard. But a favorite horror movie, a favorite comedy, a favorite, I don't know, Western action or whatever. And even with horror movies, how can you compare Alien with The Shining? I mean, it's impossible. But and it kind of is similar with my brother's work that I really.
Cool.
So two of them, right? The vertical, I would say, Inception or True Romance. Perfect Prince. And I love horizontal formats. I really like them.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the Indiana Jones trilogy, I think. Yeah.
Thanks, bro. Well, I'd say from top of my head, because I'm
all of them.
I'm a huge fan of my brother's work. But I don't know. I proudly now possess Gangs of New York, the bad guy version. Build the Butcher variant, I suppose. So that one. And I don't know. Recently, I fell in love with Edge of Tomorrow. I think it was regular. Was it regular?
Yes.
It's the printing job is actually oddly enough, we have this print right here. Maybe you wanna.
I don't know.
Maybe you wanna show it later, or maybe not. But we have it here lying flat in case, and it's printed perfectly, and it looks great. The movie was awesome too. But from top of my head, I'm pretty much fan of all my brother's work. It would actually be much easier to name those that I'm not fan of, but we're not gonna do that. I hope.
This is a positive space, guys. People have asked me what my favourite of each of your works is. Well, I think Gabz is already aware that I absolutely fell. The first time I became aware of your art, Gabz, was Purple Rain, and that sits in a very, very luscious
There's
frame.
a great story behind that one, but it's a really great poster. Yeah, I agree.
It's somewhat simple, but in the best of ways of saying it. It's like it doesn't need anything else. I mean, it's Prince, so obviously that's sort of enough. And then you have the, of course, perfect colors and the guitar that is disappearing. Yeah, I was a fan also.
I'm very happy to do that. Thank you, Kevin.
But I'm dying out of curiosity. What you gonna say about my work?
Which one is it?
I love your Logan piece. I think the detail on it is insane. I think I don't have necessarily a favourite because it's just there's so much to love about a number of them. It's just that Gabz's Purple Rain happens to sit above my bed in a very, very grandiose.
I totally get it. I know. I totally get it.
So you were
but your Blade Runner piece is spectacular. And there are every time a piece comes out from you, Krzysztof, it's like holy. There's the level of detail, and I think one of the things people really enjoy is when they see on your Instagram like showing your actual pencil, like you're actually doing your pen to paper work. It's fascinating how meticulous you are.
Yes, I'm sure I can speak for both of us. It is a sort of meditative process at times because when you really dive into details and you have a magnifying glass or whatever, even if without it, and you're drawing for 3 weeks, for 8 hours a day, and sometimes during weekends because I do that at times. It's like you're this monk, scripturing and stuff. Back in the medieval times, they were guys with the candle, writing stuff down.
I think it's worth sort of mentioning at this point that we already mentioned that we studied at the academy, but we studied printing art, which included also metal techniques and a couple of those sort of alternative to serigraphy, screen printing. Graphic printing techniques.
Yes,
which also involve a very, very precise line work or basically way of drawing.
Yes.
To put it this way. So we had a pretty big experience regarding at least detail. Let's say
Yeah, I can also
crazy.
add that back at the academy we were both doing very large scale drawings.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what the themes were. My drawings were like 2 meters by 1.5 meters, very similar. And in order to put detail on top of all this space, it's like really you're getting used to how time, how much time it takes to finish up a drawing.
To achieve at least the result we're heading for.
And luckily, sorry, maybe just to finalize this thought. Luckily for me, with the posters, the drawings are much smaller. Still quite big, but and take a lot of time. But no more 3 meters for me.
Yeah. We're getting quite a few questions in, and I would feel very guilty if I didn't try and get in as many of them as possible. So as we're at the half-hour mark, we'll try and get a good few questions in. Right, which posters are each of you most proud of?
Similar to. I mean, I don't know how it is with Gabe, but I have some ideas. But in my case, it's like the newest one is probably gonna be the newest I'm super happy with is gonna be the one I'm most proud of. So I'm gonna go with Vlog. I know people probably are tired of it by now, or maybe not. But I mean, this was the recent one that costed me a lot of time, a lot of effort. And I just can't wait to see it printed, by the way. But I mean, but in short, I think it was worth it. I think it's. It's gonna have its place sort of in history of at least posters for entire trilogy. I mean, it hasn't been done before, so on one screen print to have this much is I'm pretty proud of it. But I mean, as far as those from the past go, I mean, Purple Rain, a lot of those simple ones like where there's basically, let's say, one head and something inside it, or not too many characters. So not Inception, for example, but Prometheus, for example. I'm very proud of that one. Alien. They're both kind of similar. Can you help me out? Those three should be enough. Yeah, I don't want to brag with too many that I don't know how proud of. So in short, let's go with this three. And
I'm gonna answer differently because. To me, with posters, I mean, let's say 96% of them, it's like with children. You can't really choose which one you'll have more, right? It's impossible. And just like I mentioned earlier with movies, you can't really compare, let's say, Gangs of New York because of the the whole style of the movie or generally Martin Scorsese movie with Logan. It's more like a popcorn flick, even though with some ambitions, which I really appreciate. So with me, I would probably recognize a few milestones for me personally from the posters I did, which sort of set a root or maybe roots for some of the other compositions that I'm creating up till now. And I would say Leon probably as a sort of starting point for like my path, and then Blade Runner, the first Blade Runner, which was this new approach that I had that, what would happen if we would have a poster in those times. I mean, and I'm not referring to 2019, which the movie takes place in, but I mean the future where cars are flying, it's raining all the time, and, everybody's speaking these weird languages. And if we had a poster that is like a neon futuristic, strange thing, right, with Rachel in the middle. So, and there was this new idea that really like opened doors for me in terms of wow, I'm gonna pursue this. Like, who cares if there will be people who like, this is not a poster, is there something written in there or not? I don't really care, as long as it's my adventure sort of with the film. So yeah, I would name these two, but just like Gabz said, all the new ones that I'm creating, I'm always like, I really like them. That's why I create them. But the tricky part is that with me doing a lot of commissioned posters, I often wait a year or if not longer for my poster to sort of be revealed. And by the time it is revealed, it's still a special child, but one that I was
bringing to the world a long time ago, in some sense, if that makes sense.
I love how you describe them as children, and it's like I couldn't possibly choose. But if I had to, But if I had to, then it would be these ones. That's why my mum prefers me over my brother.
No, I call them my way, but yeah, right.
We've got a few more questions here. We've got. There was one comment that said, I would sell one of my kidneys in order to own one of those original pictures by you, Krzysztof. I think that's referring to you doing your full hand-drawn posters. I'm sure most of us would have to sell a kidney in order to own one of those.
Maybe we should have thought of that, and maybe we should have taken some of my brother's originals.
Maybe some other time, but I'm very flattered by
maybe next session we'll be just focusing on originals. I don't mind.
We would love to have you back.
But I can only, to whoever wrote that comment, I can only say it's probably worth 2 of your kidneys.
You guys are brilliant.
Start collecting, or I don't know, find a
and the liver, one liver,
and one liver. Yeah. Oh, that's all right. If I sell one of my livers, I'll have 2 left. It says that you've mentioned comics as a bit of an influence. Have either of you ever done work for comics?
Well, can I start? Maybe you continue. Yeah. I mean, first of all, I was a huge fan of comic books all the way through the primary school and high school. Jean Giraud, Moebius.
Yeah, but maybe it's worth sort of pointing out that by comics, well, we also collected like Batmans and Spider-Mans. Not all of them, by the way. X-Men.
We didn't have that many because of the.
But anyways, we also got like those typical American sort of comic books. But by comics, we sort of also mean the European comics, and by that, graphic novels, some call them, or basically a more ambitious sort of graphic printed material.
So yeah, there was definitely Jean Giraud, Moebius, of course, a great inspiration also in movies. I mean, that guy was a genius. Obviously, I love Sam Beasley also from this crazy era with Lobo and all that. And then when Academy came, we sort of we discovered like more ambitious themes. We fell into the dark pits. With Egon Schiele.
Sort of from Simon Beasley to Egon Schiele in 1 year. So we're like, oh, let's explore this totally different area of sort of art. But actually, during first year of studies, we've been doing stuff we've never been doing before, like splatting paint all over,
simplified things,
really rough, quick sketches and stuff like that. It was a great experience. But sorry, go. I'm not sure why you proceed with the.
Yes, I kind of forgot what you.
The comics.
So the comics remained this love for me, and this unfulfilled dream of mine that I shared a few times already, but I can say it here as well, is to create at one point a graphic novel like this big book, like this Jodorowsky Dune equivalent of a graphic novel from what?
Did we ever make an actual comic? Or
yes, and that's why I'm going for this. Yeah. But no, I did a Terminator cover.
I did some covers like for Terminator series for Dark Horse, and one for Stranger Things something as well, both for Dark Horse. Yeah, but apart from that, I mean, no, not much. I also did a few for my friend from Italy, Christian Cimara. I have some of them stuff here, but I mean, not like in the sense of a comic page with, I don't know, text and all that. No, I don't have that. As far as
this might change,
but I mean professionally, I don't have experience like that, because in fact, when we go back, sort of primary school, I'm not going to mention the one you think about, but I've been doing some really bloody comics. Like, for example, one was inspired by Alien, and only blood was red in it. So just for the fans and for you, just imagine scrolling through that comic. It was like red, blood all over, like pretty sick mind. It wasn't subtle. It was, some pages were like full on red.
Yes.
That's how much blood there.
And then we took him to a doctor. No, but it was.
You didn't take on that. There was that thing about the first issue of Kiss's comic book where they actually put in some of their own blood into the red ink. I'm just making sure that you didn't try.
I haven't thought of that, but it's a great idea. But in fact, following a little bit more on that, we also were like huge fans of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, for example, I also did one comic book with adult Mutant Ninja Turtles. So you can imagine where it was. Let's just say it was adult Ninja Turtles for adults, and a lot of blood as well.
Sure.
Poor Shredder.
Poor Shredder, but he deserved it all. He deserved it all. So.
And Shredder, Shred.
Since he's telling that story, which I thought of instantly, he drew this because you probably all know it. Everybody who was into turtles at some point had this particular Ninja Turtle that he wanted to be. So for me, it was Leonardo.
Raphael.
He was Raphael, right? We have a third brother who was Donatello, whatever. And my brother drew Raphael with these, knives that he uses. I'm not sure what they are called, but I remember this panel. So this was this adult Raphael, very, very angry, muscular as hell, and bloody knives. And he was like, blood is warm. And I will never forget that one.
Yeah, what a line.
It wakes me up. And
I'm also a great screenwriter.
We've got
blood is warm, but it is.
We can try and if we could try. I want to cover the projects where you are appear as both names and stuff in a we've got probably about 10 minutes left, and I do want to cover say the stuff where you've worked together, like on Deer Hunter and stuff. So I'm going to try and get through some of these questions, like a quick fire sort of.
Yeah,
some of them are like yes no answers anyway. But I just want to try and give people as much of a chance to speak to some of their favorite artists. So, KD, would you do a Kubrick print similar to your Nolan?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I have.
That's it. Yes.
Sure. Okay. But let me say that I have Paul Thomas Anderson penciled, and who knows what happens after
Amazing.
that.
It's a good piece. Right?
Do you have a dream movie you'd love to do a poster of, each of you? Just one movie, go on.
Saving Private Ryan.
And
for me, Dune. I'm very hyped for Dune.
Amazing. That's
You
not
are.
me being sarcastic. I do think I'm sure they would be absolutely incredible. It's just because I'm trying to get through these quickly. What musicians would you both like to do a poster for? I mean, Krzysztof, your posters your work that you've done for AMPjam is some of my favorite of your work.
Thank you so much, and let me just say that it was my most beloved band in high school. Just like everybody who have listened to grunge and AMPjam in particular, they saved my life. So at some point when they reached out to me, and then I was receiving emails with quotes such as, Ed really loves your design. I was like, is this happening? Oh my God. It was like a dream of dreams to do something for this band.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
In terms of...
I'm happy I did the Purple Rain one because... it's Prince.
Sure.
I wouldn't mind doing something for Bowie, and who knows, it might happen actually in future. And I also have something for Tom Waits in plans, but I mean, we'll see how it goes. The person who reached out to me about that, just please be patient for a bit longer, please.
Tom Waits would
You know who you are, I guess.
Yeah, I if she listens, she knows.
The more Tom Waits based art, the better. Just love him. Any interest for either of you to do some horror work, such as Halloween?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you guys have to understand. Not all of the movies that are popular or have a cult status in US or elsewhere have been as popular in Poland due to communism. Which communism sucks. It's worth reminding.
Oh yeah.
Always.
And so we didn't have some of those movies. And for example, I've watched Halloween when it was basically like too old. I mean, it got old and it didn't do nothing for me. But as far as horror goes, I mean, I'm not sure if I would like to make a poster for those particular movies. But for example, Hereditary, and the Asser guy, his name is Asser, the director. I mean, Asser. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, but
guy from New York.
this guy's movies, I mean, I wouldn't mind doing a poster for Midsummer or something like that. But I mean,
Exorcist.
Exorcist.
That would be.
That film killed me every time. And as far as Halloween goes, I could repeat what my brother just said. Only I haven't seen it. Not even seen it. So I haven't seen it.
So that would be a no then.
Sorry. Sorry, guys.
Krzysztof and Gabz, this is from Pixel Surgery, says you've done some collaborations together and with other artists. Are there any other artists that you'd like to collaborate with?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I keep thinking about it from time to time, but it's kind of tough because some of the artists I admire and sort of look up to, I don't know, Rory or Porky. It depends on the artist. Now I named just two, but there's more. But focusing just on those two, for example, I think Rory said the same thing, giving an interview to some other guy some time ago, and I watched it, and he also actually was brought up that maybe he should do a collab with Gabz, and he said something what I'm also thinking, considering it, that we both draw pretty well, to put it this way. So it would be kind of hard to find, who does what. With my twin brother, whom I can see, we also fight a lot during those collabs. Actually, that's less inside. That's the truth that needs to go out there. That we fight like really bad sometimes. But in short, I mean, it's somewhere at the back of my head, but it's only been sort of more.
And since I know it's Philip who asked this question, let me just say that. I would definitely call the Kill Bill poster a sort of collaborative, thing, but still the way it was that there was the concept, there was the artwork ready, and we both felt when Philip approached us, because he had some issues with typography, that the way everything's designed, the title should probably go to the top because it's already too busy at the bottom. So it would be super duper busy at the bottom with top being slightly too. So I mean, I'm not sure if that can be considered like a 100% collaborative process. When with my bro here, we are at the very very early stage with sketching, and you think that maybe this. Okay, I will do the tracing. You'll do the personal
changes, which can get some of us in trouble. But sort of only just to mention that the collaborative effort Krzysztof was now talking about, it was artwork by Zero.
Yes.
And we only did which is great. By
great printing.
It's some of the best printing I've ever seen on a poster. I'm going to say that.
And fantastic use of the UV
gloss,
whatever thing that makes the snakes shiny. But wowzers.
The scales are it's amazing. And Tom Chester's is framing mine, so I'm looking forward to that. We've got we're going to just bring up your Deer Hunter. Obviously, I say we're sort of, because we're running quite low on time now. Matt Taylor said I would 100% collaborate with you guys. So Matt Taylor would love to do a collaboration with you.
Yeah, man, I mean,
that's a hell of a thing. That's a hell of an artist to drop in with a comment like that. Yeah, DM. Yeah, we'll sort that. We've sort of noticed that AMPjam has sort of acted almost as a networking event. We had Ferg making various deals with upcoming artists earlier in the weekend, and people messaging me going, "Oh, could you put me in contact with blah?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So that's a great thing to come out of the comments section. If Matt Taylor did a collaboration with you, wow.
We can definitely chat about it. Reach out, man.
Yes, reach out.
Amazing. We've got your Deer Hunter on the on the screen now. We've only got probably about 5 minutes. But if you could tell us a little bit about the sort of process that you went through to create that together.
Okay, so I will try to do this as quickly as possible. Although this particular poster was quite a challenge due to like many factors. I was first approached by Nautilus/Mondo to do this license, print. Then, I was sharing some ideas with my brother. I was telling him from the very beginning that whatever happens, Laurent Durier made a really perfect poster with Robert De Niro, which is a very significant character, of course. And we were both like, whatever happens, this should probably. We would rather this poster lean towards this other character, Nick. Who's like this the envision of what war makes of people, like what you become because of the war. So when that sort of came up, I was starting with exploring sort of Last of Us kind of approach that I've done this poster with this large Ellie and a smaller Joel, and there was this huge Nick and some scenes from the war. But when I sent the concepts out, they were not approved to do being too gory. That's what I initially heard. And at that point, I had other ideas, but I got stuck. And I reached out to, again, like we often do, to Robert. He came to the rescue, came up with the idea, how about since you want to do Nick, it's a good idea to do Nick. Let's have him at the table. He's playing the roulette with us, sort of inviting us to experience what he had experienced. That was the basic idea, but we also tried to include as much sort of anti-war, the horrors of war material as possible in this print. So I guess it's not for everybody, but we really enjoy. But this movie also isn't for everybody. So I had the same argument with the concept being too gory, but forget that. I just mean that this is not a pleasant movie, so the poster can somewhat convey some of that. It's not like we don't want to create something that nobody would want to ever look at, but should it be pleasant for a movie that has all these very horrific scenes and very psychologically heavy on you? And during the process, which is interesting, and it was created during all the pandemic, going on and all that, lockdowns and all that. It somewhat became not only about war, but I will let you or all the viewers decide for themselves, looking at the poster, what can it actually say.
And I think that's one of the best things about art is when there are things that you can interpret from it, where it's not just a straightforward this is the thing, and it's black and white, and this is black and white with a bit of red, but that's what I mean. It's in
yes, sure.
We did have someone requesting if they could see the posters that you've got to your side from Edge of Tomorrow, because you said that you might put them on the screen.
Yes, I can say that. I very recently received some of the IPs I was waiting a long time for, and they are all printed by Lady Lazarus Press. This guy Isaac and his team, they are amazing, and you can just look for yourself. My brother is showing. I couldn't believe how exactly the same the print looks.
Crispy tight. Yes, I would love to even show you a bit of the stuff I really love, which is the vectors that are so crispy that you want to just start
crispy vectors.
I sometimes I'm not sure how familiar are you with the movie Red Dragon, where a guy enters a museum and eats one of the prints from William Blake. When I look at these prints, I just want to eat them actually.
We love that here. Team AMPjam loved that comment.
Open your eyes, look at me.
Open your eyes and look at me and just eat it. Eat this print.
Guys, people have been saying we need longer. Unfortunately, we don't have longer, but it would be great to, I think, maybe do an evening with you guys if you were open to that. So
let's do a whole day next time.
Yes,
we'll have a chat about. We'd love to have you back, obviously, for AMPjam next year if you'll have.
Sure. We are very flattered and happy to.
Yeah, thanks basically for the invite. Now that we are wrapping this up. And of course, we're open to chatting, more in future.
It'd be awesome.
Who knows? Maybe you can show originals next time, like my brother mentioned. I think my OGs as well.
That would be an amazing insight into your process as well to see some of that work. Guys, Krzysztof, Grzegorz, thank you so much. Dzień dobry.
That's hello, but do widzenia.
Sorry. Dziękuję. Sorry. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
No
Sorry.
problem.
Sorry.
You're doing great.
Yeah. Sorry. My girlfriend's gonna kill me. Right.
No.
Thank you very, very much, guys. I cannot.
Thank
say
you,
it.
and all the best to you and all the guys who watched
Yeah,
it.
thanks for watching, guys, and have a great evening, day, night, whatever.
Take care, guys.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
I nearly nailed